Last week, Zwift announced some very interesting new game controller hardware. These are called Zwift Play, and they're basically game controllers for the Zwift cycling world, and they easily attach to the handlebars of your bike. And right now, while the hardware is in its beta phase, the price is $99, with the plan to bump the price up to $150 when it's out of beta. So, should we get them while they're fresh and hot? Let's talk about it. So these are the Zwift Play wireless controllers. They are Zwift-specific gaming controllers that attach to the drop handlebars on your bike and allow you to quickly navigate, steer, brake, change worlds, give other riders thumbs up, all without having to remove your hands from the handlebars. And I should always say drop handlebars because these are not compatible with most TT bikes or most mountain bikes. Although I don't know a ton of people that are Zwifting on their mountain bikes, but I did try to find a way to attach these to those different types of bikes without a lot of luck. But Zwift is very specific here when they actually talk about this product, and they mention very specifically that it's standard drop style cycling handlebars that you'll find on road bikes. You might find it on gravel bikes or cyclocross style bikes as well. They are also waterproof. I looked around for like an IPX protection rating. I didn't see anything like that, but they honestly look pretty solid. I don't think that there's gonna be any sort of water damage or any sort of damage due to sweat. Perhaps maybe if you leave like the charging port open and it kind of gets a ton of sweat in there, I could see potentially having some corrosion, but there are nice little flaps that go over each of these little USB-C charging ports. Now on a full charge, you can actually expect about 20 hours of battery life, and I think that estimation is actually pretty generous. I might have these attached, but I'm also probably gonna be watching a show or maybe a movie, really not interacting with the game all that much, meaning that I'm not gonna be using these controllers to their fullest extent, and I might get a little bit better battery life than what's advertised here. But what's cool here is that you can actually charge this device while it's being used. And the USB-C charging cord that comes with this is pretty nice. It has about a 5-foot long split cable that goes from a USB-A charging port to 2 USB-C charging ports that connect to these two devices here, the wireless controllers. And these two devices are separate Bluetooth connected devices, so you could potentially run into limits on the number of Bluetooth channels that you have available. For example, the Apple TV has a pretty limited number. Zwift does allow you to connect through the Zwift Companion app. So you connect this to your phone, connect it to the Zwift Companion app, and it funnels that into the actual Zwift hardware they're using, like an Apple TV. Now, we usually have a rule that if it goes on the bike, it must be weighed, but this is just going on your bike for Zwifting, so I'm not exactly sure that that rule applies in this particular case. Either way, each of these weigh in at about 113 grams. And then when you do pair this to whatever device you're using to use Zwift, you'll actually see the battery levels of each of these devices, and it'll also check for firmware updates. And the first time you connect these, you'll get a nice little guided tour that shows you what each button does and how to use them. There's also a new game that kind of comes along with this built into Zwift. It's called Repack Rush. So steer into the greens, use the blues for speed boosts, and avoid the reds, and see how fast you can go. It's a fun little game, but I don't suspect I'll use it all that frequently, but it's just off of Titans Grove if you're looking for it. So just to quickly go over all the functionality that these controllers can do, you can actually navigate menus with these. So press the up arrow to bring up the action bar, and left and right to navigate this menu. A selects something, and B goes back. These can also be used as shortcut keys to hold down the down button to bust a U-turn, or press and hold the Z button to drop a thumbs up bomb to all the riders around you. I'd say steering is a little bit odd, but you pull left on these little orange front lever pieces here to go that direction, or right, and then you actually push them inwards to brake. And then during workouts, it's easy to increase or decrease percentage of FTP during the workouts. You just press the up button or the down button. Okay, so tons of features here, tons of features at a discounted price. So what's not to like here? Well, I did mention that it's only compatible with drop handlebars, and we should be very clear about what it's not compatible with. I don't actually really see a way to use these on a hybrid or a mountain bike style bar with flat bars. I mean, you can kind of slap them on there, but it's just not very functional because you can't kind of get to the buttons quite as easily. There's also a few drop bars that have sprinter shifters or a dropper post trigger that could also get in the way of the placement of these controllers. There's also Campagnolo's thumb trigger thing that they have that would also get in the way of the placement of these on that particular item. Smart bike trainers like the Garmin Trax Neo, that bike has a different shifter shape, so these would be difficult to work with that. And then the Watt bike. Those are some of the bikes that Zwift specifically mentions having difficulty placing these controllers. And I should also remind you and I both that this is still a beta product, which means it has that better price, and maybe we shouldn't be quite so judgmental about these particular devices. There's also a little haptic feedback motor that's built into these that's currently not being used at all as of the time of this video, which is early July of 2023. But we'll just have to wait and see what all comes to fruition with these particular devices. But one thing that's cool is that all of this functionality is open to third-party hardware developers, meaning that we might start seeing more and more competitors with these little game controllers. I think it'd be great for customers, but I also think that it's really great for Zwift because people who tend to use Zwift specific hardware tend to use Zwift regularly, and people that use Zwift regularly are continually keeping that income stream of subscriber fees coming into Zwift headquarters. But I think at $100, I think I'm in. And of course, maybe we'll start seeing a ton of these knockoff versions for less money coming to the market. Maybe there'll be some sort of other interesting takes on designs that incorporate other types of bikes. But given the current state of overseas manufacturing, and the creativity and Zwift's openness to all of it, I do suspect that we might see some interesting competitive offerings to these particular devices at some point. But I've been saying for a while now that I'm a little bit more willing to invest a bit of money into indoor cycling. I do think that you get a great workout, you get it kind of in a quick, timely manner, and it's definitely safer than being out there and playing in traffic. So for an extra $100 to make my indoor riding a little bit better, that's right on that verge of an impulse purchase where I don't think too much about it and I just do it. And then the non-beta price of $150 might give me a little bit more hesitation. If that's just me, I know that a lot of that just comes down to price sensitivity on all of these things. But I've seen some wireless keyboards that were on sale for under $30. I don't have any idea if they're any good for Zwifting. Maybe you guys do. Maybe you guys have the lowdown on the best indoor setup. Which kind of brings me to a weird point. Like, I wonder if a lot of the potential buyers for a product like this might have already maxed out their pain caves with really nice wireless keyboards, really nice wireless mice, whatever else that they need to have their Zwift set up perfectly. So I don't know, maybe there's a slim market for these. But overall, I'm a fan. I think that they work really well. I do wish that they worked on my time trial bike just because that's the bike that I've kind of dedicated to indoor training. But they do work well and they are super useful. But for you guys, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Is this something you guys would purchase for $100? Would you purchase it for $150? Even if you're not a Zwifter, make sure that you're getting out there, swimming, biking, running, rinsing, and repeating it all over again. And we will see you guys on the next one.